Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I do weekly uploads on some of the most horrendous and mysterious cases around the world. So if you're a true crime fan like I am, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Before we get started today, I do want to take a quick second to give you guys a speculation warning because although I have tried to weed out the opinions and only use factual information, this is the internet and, well, we all know how that goes sometimes. For the sake of today's video, we're going to the old Windsor, Wisconsin. Windsor is a village and former town in Dane County, Wisconsin. The population in 2020 was around 8,750, and it was home to Bart and Krista Halderson. Bart and Krista lived a pretty quiet life. They had a beautiful home and two sons that they were so proud of. Their youngest son, Chandler, was 23 at the time and was allegedly attending Madison College, studying for an IT degree, and said that he was looking forward to a job he had lined up at SpaceX. Which, for those of you who don't know, SpaceX is a company that Elon Musk built, and Elon is amongst the richest in the country, if not the richest. But back to the story. Their other son, Mitchell, was 24 at the time, and Mitchell also worked in tech and was engaged to be married. But on July 2nd, 2021, Krista did not show up to work or even call in, which was completely out of character for her. So of course, her friend and coworker Daniel Croniger began to really worry about her. Because this was so out of character for Krista, after Daniel tried calling her phone a couple of times without getting an answer, he decided to drive over to her house just to check in with her and make sure that she was okay. When Daniel arrived at the house, he made contact with their son Chandler, who lived in the home. Chandler told Daniel that his parents went away to their family cabin for the July 4th weekend. And honestly, them going to the cabin was not out of the ordinary during the summertime.
I don't recall the exact events, but I did not think much of it because they would be known to go up to the cabin during the summer.
Let's talk about that. So your parents own a cabin?
Correct.
Where is that cabin?
Langlade County, Wisconsin.
Okay. And how would you describe that cabin?
My grandpa had built it, so it was mostly wood logs, pretty run-of-the-mill, what you would think of as a rustic cabin.
Okay. Is it on waterfront, in the forest, something else?
Yes, it is on Sawyer Lake, Wisconsin.
Okay. Is there any other outbuildings associated with this cabin, such as a shed or a boathouse or anything like that?
Both of those. There is a shed out in the front, a boathouse in the back, and a in-shambles treehouse in the front yard as well.
Okay. And did your parents own a boat of any sort?
I believe so. There was definitely a canoe. I don't believe there was a full boat, or at least not that I remember.
And nothing like a pontoon or a ski boat or something?
Nothing with a motor that I'm remembering.
Okay. How often do you believe your parents went to the cabin?
They would at least open and close it every year and go probably one or two more times in addition to that, so 3 or 4 times a year over the summer.
But then, after the July 4th weekend came and went, the Haldersons were still nowhere to be found. So their friend Daniel that had went to the house before to check on them urged Chandler to call and report them missing. So on Wednesday, July 7th, 2021, Chandler reported his parents missing to the Dane County Sheriff's Department. Chandler told detectives that his mom and dad were picked up and driven to the cabin by a couple that he didn't know.
I made shrimpless scampi. That's where they told me while we were eating it, they were going to go with their friends, and I was like, oh, cool.
And they said they were going cabin.
Yeah. Well, we were going up north. That's how they referred to it.
As detectives started investigating Krista and Bart's disappearance, Chandler started going to his neighbors' houses asking if they had seen his parents. The last that anyone had heard from Bart and Krista was a text message that was allegedly sent to Chandler from Krista's phone saying that they didn't have good cell service and couldn't get through. So on July 8th, 2021, the oldest son, Mitchell, took it upon himself to make the 3-hour drive north to the family cabin just to see if he could find them. Mitchell had the Langley County Sheriff's deputies meet him there so that together they could search the property, but it quickly became clear that no one had been there in quite some time. Bart and Krista were nowhere to be found. This led detectives to start interviewing family and friends to see if anyone had any information that could help them find the couple. They specifically wanted to know more about Chandler and his whereabouts on the July 4th weekend because of the way he was acting. And on top of the way that he was acting, his story just wasn't adding up, so they went ahead and brought him in for questioning, and I'll play a portion of that for you guys now.
Following leads last night, working today to, go through different things, just trying to locate them, right? So I guess if you want to start with, let's just go back to last Wednesday.
Wednesday. I was with my dad. What time Wednesday? I remember it. It was kind of a bad day.
Okay. Why was it a bad day?
Well, my mom had work, so she was gone. My dad and I were watching something over lunch. It was The Wheel of Fortune, and we normally have the couch, like with our back facing the table we sat at the end of you coming.
Downstairs or upstairs?
Downstairs,
Okay.
in that room with the TV. I tossed the ball, and I smashed the glass
Okay.
with the dog's help.
That police interview lasted about 2 hours. Chandler told detectives his parents had gone to the cabin to take care of a plumbing emergency and that he helped them pack the tools for the repairs.
And my dad says, I'll need a set for pipe repair and gas. So I'm like, alright. I grabbed the pipe repair stuff from his plumbing chest, or plumbing box. It's like a tote of what you need for pipe repair.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 whatever jerry cans. I can't remember the amount, but they're red with the safety nozzles. Got those squared away. They had most of their duffels already packed at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we all just started bringing them down to the mudroom.
While detectives were talking to Chandler, they received information that changed the tone of that interview completely. Turns out, deputies got a tip from a farm owner saying she had seen Chandler walking from the wood line on her property just a few days before he had reported his parents missing. When deputies went to search that area, they discovered human remains, specifically a male torso. Investigators immediately began testing to identify the remains. While investigators were doing the test to identify the remains that they found, detectives grilled Chandler about his missing parents. But when he asked for a lawyer, the interview ended. Authorities then arrested Chandler Halderson for providing false information about a missing person. Just 2 days later, the remains found on the farm were identified as Bart Halderson. Chandler was then charged with his father's murder, and he was also charged with dismembering and hiding a body. At this point, you may be asking, where is Krista? Well, authorities continued to search for her, not knowing if she was still alive. Then the authorities got a major break by Chandler's use of Snapchat. See, Chandler's girlfriend, Catherine, or Kat, Melander, gave investigators permission to download the data from her phone. The detective said that Kat used Snapchat to check his location so that she could see it in real time. And on July 3rd, 2021, she spotted Chandler on Snapchat near the Wisconsin River. It seemed odd to Kat, so she took a screenshot of the location and saved it to her phone. And when the detectives searched the Snapchat location, they found human remains. The medical examiner later confirmed that they were the remains of Krista Halderson, so Chandler was then charged with the murder of his mother as well. In September of 2021, Chandler Halderson pleaded not guilty to murdering, dismembering, and hiding the bodies of his parents, Bart and Krista. The trial began in January of 2022, and come to find out, the prosecutor said that Chandler murdered his parents because his father found out that he had been lying to them. You guys remember how I said in the beginning that Chandler was in college to get an IT degree, and also how I said he was excited about a job he had lined up at SpaceX? Yeah, that was all a bunch of BS. Prosecutors presented evidence that Chandler had actually flunked out of college, and they said he even made up a series of fake emails to make his parents believe that he was still enrolled in school. Prosecutors also presented evidence of Chandler buying a tarp and 20 pounds of ice. Authorities determined that the tarp Chandler purchased was similar to a tarp found in the garbage at the farm where his father's remains were discovered. The authorities also found the cutting tools that are on the screen hidden inside of a rusty oil drum at the farm where Bart Halderson's remains were found. A forensic analysis testified that the blood on the tools matched Bart and Krista's DNA. Prosecutors showed the jury a photo of broken glass from the Haldersons' fireplace. And they also showed a video from a neighbor's security camera that captured a flickering light coming from a window at the Halderson home. Prosecutors say it was the same day that they believe Bart and Krista were killed. The broken glass from the fireplace is important because a forensic expert testified at trial that more than 200 human bone fragments were found in the fireplace. Another forensic expert testified that there appeared to be blood in the basement of the Halderson home. The expert also told the jury that there appeared to be evidence of a cleanup. In this photo, the floor looks clean, but in the dark, a blue light reveals traces of blood. And lastly, you guys, a gun was found hidden in a barn at the farm where Bart's remains were found. Authorities believe that this was the weapon used to kill Bart. The medical examiner was not able to determine how Krista was killed. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Afterward, Chandler Halderson was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Sir, did the jury reach verdicts on all counts in this matter? We did. Could you please give Randy the folder? The verdict form on count 1, as signed by the presiding juror and dated today, reads, "We, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 1 of the amended information. As to the verdict form for count 2, as signed and dated, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of providing false information about a missing person as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 2 of the amended information. Verdict form for count 3, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of mutilating a corpse as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 3 of the amended information. Verdict form for count 4, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of hiding a corpse as to Bart A. Halderson, as charged in count 4 of the amended information. The verdict form for count 5, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as to Krista R. Halderson, as charged in count 5 of the amended information. The verdict form for count 6, as signed and dated by the foreperson, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of providing false information about a missing person as to Krista R. Halderson, as charged in count 6 of the amended information. The verdict form as to count 7, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of mutilating a corpse as to Krista R. Halderson, as charged in count 7 of the amended information. And finally, the verdict form for count 8, as signed and dated, reads, we, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of hiding a corpse as to Krista R. Halderson.
With that, we have reached the end of this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also smash that like button and leave me a comment on what case I should cover next. Okay, love you, bye!